Hello everybody, I'm Katie Knight and welcome back to Can You Put Me on Guest List? Just before we start, I want to give you some real quick information about my next Talk Tank webinar over on Mixed Tank TV. Following our first live webinars with Facebook and Bandcamp, coming up on March 24th, I will be chatting with Jen Marseille from Spotify, all about how to improve your chances of being featured on Spotify's playlists, what to consider when making a streaming edit, how to grow a fan base on Spotify, how Spotify should fit into a wider release strategy, practical advice about how to get the most out of Spotify, and so much more. The webinar is free and all you have to do is sign up over on mixtank.tv. This week, I am joined by Ali Shirazinia, also known as Dubfire. Ali is just one of those people that has seen so much of the world, met so many interesting people, and has so many stories to share. So I was really, really excited to have him on the show. We talk about the beginning of his career, how the last year has been for him, taking up, a bit of sourdough baking, his favorite podcasts, meeting people like Madonna or Anthony Bourdain, his great passion for food, and so much more. A chat that I wish could have gone on for so much longer. If you do enjoy this podcast, why not share it with a friend? And if you want more, hit the subscribe button to receive the next shows directly to your phone. This is Dubfire on Can You Put Me on Guest List? Let's start off by talking about this crazy, crazy year that we've all had. Did you find it hard at the beginning to find things to do? Because obviously, your schedule was always super, super busy. And then obviously from flying every weekend, having gigs every weekend, and then all of a sudden everything's stopping. At the beginning, were you like, I don't really know what to do with myself? Or did you find things to keep yourself busy?
I think initially I wasn't sure, and I was kind of scrambling because I've been on the road, I think, doing an average of 130 shows a year for 30 years, must be 25 plus years. And so when everything just ground to a halt, it was really difficult to figure out what to do with all this time I had, because DJs are always complaining about, to everyone, friends, loved ones, whatever, family, we never have enough time to do all the things we want to do. I can't tell you how many times I fantasized about sitting on my sofa and watching a documentary on a rainy Sunday afternoon or something like that. I was like, oh my God, this is the best day ever.
I was literally just about to say to you that I watched an interview that you did with Exceed, and it was one of them quick fire questions. And one of the questions, the last one was, a dream come true or your biggest dream or something like that. And your answer was to get more sleep and to sit on my sofa on a Sunday and watch TV. I was like, well, your dream came true.
Dream came true. Be careful what you wish for. I
literally.
guess.
And that wasn't that long before the pandemic either. It was literally a few months before, I think.
Yeah, I think people, in my generation who've been doing this a long time, being on that treadmill, going, however many miles per hour, never being able to get off. We were used to it. I guess the good metaphor is like when someone's released from prison and they've been there so long, and when the guards are like, you're free to go. And they're like, oh,
no.
They go, now what? And then they kind of want to retreat back into what they know, their comfort zone. And so, we were just really, thrust out of our comfort zones and weren't sure what to do with our time initially. But then, you realize that you can't affect the situation by getting upset or having stress and anxiety. Obviously, we all had to make some major adjustments, to be able to get through it financially and psychologically and mentally, and I think a lot of people are still struggling. And it didn't help that, I had friends, everybody had friends who were going down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole or everything became a hot button political debate and issue. There was a lot of division. I had to purge a few people from my life, friends and colleagues. Maybe some people felt that way about me. I'm quite easygoing, liberal, whatever, and they couldn't understand why I was that way. But I took comfort in certain things that I'd always wanted to accomplish, like learning how to make sourdough bread. I mean, there were like New York Times articles written about like people who took up sourdough baking, and all of a sudden, like it was a craze, and it was the pandemic that kind of stimulated
really
everyone's curiosity. I wouldn't say I'm really good at them, but I can make I can make an artisanal loaf.
Nice.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Are there any changes or habits that you've adopted during this time that you want to carry on once things, I feel weird saying the word normalize because I don't know what normal is going to be like after, but when things kind of do go back into kind of what it was like before, is there anything that you would like to carry on doing what you have started doing during this time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I had more time to make a ton of music. I've made a lot of dance music and a lot of like more listening music. The listening stuff I'm still working on, and I've got to find some vocalists. But like the dance stuff, I'm kind of holding back. And sorry, the question was, have I taken up?
No, the question
I go off on tangents. Oh, am I gonna carry?
Yeah, is there like any habits that you've adopted or anything like changes you've made in your lifestyle that you want to carry, like you want to carry on once things go back to normal again?
I think before, I mean, first and foremost, before I wasn't sure if I could even take like 3 weeks off, When your business manager, when you have a business manager and they tell you one day, could be at any point in your career when you have a business manager, you have a meeting and they tell you point blank how much it costs you every month to be you, like what your expenses are. Like to be Dubfire, it costs you this much. So if you don't work and you go on holiday, and so you're not earning anything that month, you're down that amount that it costs you to be you, just your baseline kind of expenses and staff and all this other stuff, plus the holiday expenses on top of that or something like that. So that always stayed with me. I was like, fuck, I can't really take any time off. Yeah, but if it's one thing this pandemic kind of taught me is I was, and I have this conversation with a lot of colleagues. Everybody was living beyond their means. People were spending all the money they were earning. Some were very smart. Many weren't. No, not many people had like a nest egg. And then others realized, like me, that like I was living beyond my means and I had to make some changes, some lifestyle changes that were necessary even prior to the pandemic. And, the idea of taking like 3 months off to record an album, fully focused on that project is not a far-fetched idea anymore. It's something that I can plan for. It's something I know I can do because we've been, out of work for a year now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And obviously, yeah, I mean, there's obviously that. And then all my extracurricular hobbies, which are the making pizza and bread and stuff. I find something quite, it's like meditation. There's something meditative about having a starter, which is a living organism. So it's like Sasha, DJ Sasha.
Yeah.
His sourdough starter's name is Bob. Like he actually has a name for
what?
So Sasha.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
What? So he has a name for sourdough.
So you're talking to friends. When this first happened and we were trying to make sense of it all, we were seeking the comfort of our friends, just having daily conversations and Zoom chats and FaceTime chats. And, I was checking in with Sasha and I realized that he loves and had been really into sourdough baking even prior to the pandemic. And so he invited me into this sourdough WhatsApp group with some other people. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Which is really funny. So he's quite, he's always been a big foodie.
Yeah.
And I had no idea he was into baking. But he was into it so much that he actually gave his sourdough starter a name. But it's a living thing that you have to feed every day. So it's like having a child or a pet in your case.
Yeah, as you can hear right now.
Yeah.
Have you given your sourdough a name yet?
No, I was funny thing that I bring that up because I was thinking about it earlier this morning. I just woke up with this thought in my head because I just resuscitated it. It was in my fridge for the last 6 months. You put it in your fridge with a little bit of water, and it slows down the yeast activity, and then you have to bring it back out, at room temperature, and feed it its first meal in 6 months, and kind of get it, going again. And I was thinking, I never gave it a name 6 months ago. I better think of a good name.
You should. I think you need to give it a name. I don't know.
Yeah, because then it becomes more personal,
Yeah, exactly. Then it can be like a little Tamagotchi.
Exactly.
It's gonna be like gonna feed it.
Yeah. So for anybody that's going to be watching this podcast, please submit names to you, and you can relay them to me.
I absolutely will. That's so good. So this podcast is all about kind of talking about people's journeys, where they started out, and stories and memories that they've made along the way. So I would like to start off by asking where your love for music came from.
To be honest with you, I think about this question a lot. I don't really remember. The only thing I can say that maybe was a trigger for me wanting to pursue like a career in the arts is my dad writes poetry. Mm-hmm. And he's published a few books. And I recall from an early age, family gatherings, there was a lot of poetry readings at the end of the meal. For hours, they would go on for hours. Different people, my dad's friends, they would come over. There would be an audience, obviously, and then there would be other people that write poetry, and everybody would kind of talk and recite poetry. And then there was always one friend that was a musician that would bring like a traditional Persian instrument, and they would play because it enhances the effect of the poetry reading when you have like this beautiful classical Persian music kind of playing, right alongside it. So I think that was, I really always gravitated towards that, like the sound of that, the relaxed voices, the pauses, the music that was kind of, the interplay between the music and the voices and things like that. And then, as I got older, you would hear, poppy Persian music, but I never gravitated towards that. I didn't like it. Thought it was cheesy, even at an early age. I always preferred like the more classical pieces. Then when I came to the States, I think the other big catalyst for me in looking back is I didn't really fit in. I wasn't like a popular kid. I was like sort of an introvert. And so a lot of my friends were also introverts. Introverts gravitate towards one another, obviously. We all create social groups and little cliques. And most of the people in my clique were like what was called back then, it's probably a highly inappropriate word. They were called art fags. Like that's what the popular kids would call me and my friends art fags because we loved photography, poetry, music. We loved the arts. Mm-hmm. And they thought we dressed gay, like because we would wear, thrift clothes and we had the new wave look or the goth look or whatever like that. So we weren't like, we didn't fit the mold, and we weren't the popular kids in school. So that's what we were called. And most of those friends that I had, because they had an artistic streak, they were really into like alternative music. And the more I went down that rabbit hole, the more I discovered. And for me, music was always like, and still is this day, like an escape. So I think, initially, while the classical Persian music and instrumentation was pleasing to my ears, later on, it became more about escaping from my daily reality. And music was that escape and remains that escape to this day.
So at what point or when or where did you start learning to DJ and to make music? Or was there somebody that taught you?
Nobody taught me. I was, even before I got into dance music, I was really into hip hop, like all the early hip hop. I was a break dancer. I had a break dance crew. I was a break dancer. Yeah.
I did not know that. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I had like, a little foldable piece of cardboard that we'd carry around everywhere. Somebody else carried the boombox. We all had these like hoodies that, I can't remember what there was a name for them, and I can't remember. It's like parka hoodie, whatever, that you could, that was made of this material that you could kind of slide very easily on the cardboard when you did the windmill and all that other stuff,
Can you still do it?
Yes, I don't do it anymore. No, I'd probably kill myself. I wasn't very good at it either. I wasn't like, great at it, but I could do it, to the best of my abilities. And I was always like the guy with the tapes as well. So I would record mixes on the radio and give them to the guy who had the boombox. I would stay up late night on weekends just listening to all the mix shows. I mean, a lot of DJs from my generation, the way we got really interested in dance music and mixing and DJ culture was via mix shows that would happen late at night. So there were some popular ones that incorporated more like R&B, more commercial stuff. But if you waited long enough and if you turned the dial just to the right, local station, you would be rewarded with like a super underground mix. I mean, the reception wasn't very good, but I recorded all of them. I studied them, and obviously DJ culture was a big part of like hip hop culture. So I didn't even own, when I learned how to DJ, I didn't even own 1200 turntables. I had like a shitty, cheap Technics turntables with no pitch control. And I just slowly got more and more into it. And then I started playing house parties. So it started with me by recording mix shows, then gravitating towards playing house parties where I was playing on the, somebody else was supplying the sound system and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I learned actually how to mix by playing house parties. And I was also doing school dances because I started to get a local reputation. Yeah.
I love that.
Which was funny. Yeah.
So
I've done weddings. I've done I've done it all.
So at this point, were you studying or were you working? What were you like your first jobs before music became a career?
I wasn't really interested, and I kind of checked out in school. I wasn't interested in anything. I was just kind of I was in school and taking classes because I felt like that's what you needed to do. And obviously you had the pressure of doing something with your life that your parents were always reminding you about. But I more and more as each year went by, I just kept being more of a daydreamer in class. And I would kind of check out during school. I would be drawing. I would be like drawing, and I was a very good artist as well, like illustrator. So I was like drawing record label covers and writing the credits.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot to be said about like, achieving. Obviously, if you set your mind to it, you can achieve anything, but you really have to be a dreamer first. You got to dream. You have to visualize yourself doing that thing that you want to be doing. And the more you do that, the more that becomes not such a far-fetched goal. It becomes something really attainable and real. So That's kind of what I did. And then I remember getting a fake ID because I got asked to play a nightclub and I wasn't old enough. In the end, they didn't card me, but I always carried that fake ID around just in case. And, I started to develop like a reputation of playing really interesting, eclectic music in the DC area. So.
Okay, so then at what point did you realize that you were, or you could make a career out of music, and you just decided just to focus on that?
I remember we got asked by Simon. We were like doing the Deepdish project for years before we were able to quit our day jobs. I think I was working in the mailroom of some telecommunications testing company, and Sharam was working at a shoe store. He was managing the shoe store. It was like his store. And we were working all day at our day jobs and then all night in the studio. And, certain projects really brought us more of a global audience. We started to get known locally, and then in like New York, Chicago, Detroit, LA circles, and then with the DeLacy thing for Slip and Slide, which was a UK label, that brought like, global attention. And then things just started to ramp up from there very, very quickly. And I remember I was still working at this company. Sharam was still selling shoes. And Simon Dunmore had asked us to do a remix for Janet Jackson.
Wow.
When I Think of You. And we, this was a big one. Janet Jackson, Simon Dunmore was on fire. I mean, he's on fire again now.
Yeah.
He's managed to, buck all the musical trends over the years and just kind of maintain, kind of carry the baton forward in a very respectful, way. And so he asked us to do that remix, and I remember like it was going to take time away from work, and I was at that point where they weren't going to give me any more time away. And so I had a conversation with Sharam. He felt the same. He felt like he couldn't continue to run that store and do this. And then we had other requests coming in at the same time. But we really wanted to make an impact with this one. So I had a chat with my mom, and she said, like, if you feel like this is your calling, then go for it. And I quit. And I never looked back.
And that's it. And here we are today. Can you remember your first interviews?
First interview? No, I can't remember the first interview. There's been so many.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
Yeah. I don't remember the good or bad ones. The funny thing is now I'm on kind of on the interviewer's side, on your side of the coin, because we started this DJs and Beers thing last year. It's going to be like 1 year of doing this. And I've become that person that I always, nobody likes doing interviews, you know?
I know.
But some interviews can be quite pleasant, It's like once you get talking, you're actually having a good time. And I can't tell you how many of us, once it gets going, it's like, and then the interviewer's like, okay, well, that's all I have. And sometimes you're thinking, oh, you don't want to ask me any more questions.
Are you sure you got nothing else to ask?
Yeah.
How's it been doing DJs and Beers? That was such a fun idea.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I mean, we were all seeking the comfort of friends, and maybe in some ways like the comfort of strangers. DJs every week when we're playing, we're getting our egos stroked, like our ego boosted, like, and all of a sudden all that stopped, and we needed, and that's why DJs I think took up live streaming as well. It was like, a lot of DJs started like interview, Nick Fanciulli, Pete Tong, a lot of them picked that up because they needed to have this kind of dialogue and conversation, and they needed to have that audience again that they weren't able to have, like when they're, whenever all the gigs stopped. So I think maybe that's why for us, it was group therapy. We say it was group therapy. Chris mentioned that David had done one, David Truncate, and David wanted to keep it going and asked Chris to be involved. And Chris was like, well, I think Ali would be great, and Matt Radio Slave. And then they brought Drum Cell. So it's just a bunch of friends that got together, for a weekly therapy session. Yeah. And, the initial concept was just all of us talking and drinking together. Then, we talked about, well, it might be fun to bring like guests on. And in the beginning, we had the idea of like making the guest a surprise. So we wanted people to tune in to see who the surprise guest was. And then we quickly realized that like it's probably better if we're going to have more like industry people, like managers and agents and people like that, people who aren't so well known. We don't want to kind of let people down, people are tuning in and, they think they're going to get, I don't know, Amelie Lenz, but we give them like some manager or agent or something like that. So we figure, okay, might as well like, let's just like, we'll announce it and we'll promote it and people can decide to tune in or not. But, it's their decision and they know in advance who's on. Yeah. So then it just became, it got to a point right now where like I have people reaching out to me and the other guys do as well. Everyone's watching the show. A lot of our colleagues
wants to go on.
Everybody wants to go on. Yeah. Hey, can I be on your show? And like, and we have this interesting, democratic way of choosing the guests. Like if even one person vetoes the idea, then we don't do it. I guess that's not so democratic. I don't know. Is that autocratic?
Yeah. Which have been like your favorite episodes that you've done so far? Who have been good?
Well, I guess it's democratic because everyone has to agree, on the guests. Yeah. If there's one person that doesn't, then we don't do it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sorry, what was the question?
Who have been your favorite guest on the show? Like, which have been the best episodes so far?
I think Danny Teneglia, a lot of people obviously are expecting us to bring the more like high profile artists on, but we don't find that so interesting. So we're trying to find interesting people to talk to, like Joey Beltram, who we had on recently. I'd never met him. I think we played together once and maybe I said hello, but he's such an iconic, mythical, legendary figure in our industry. He's always kept a low profile, whatever. I kind of wanted to meet him and get to know him. And that was an opportunity to do that. And now we're friends as a result of doing the show. So for me, on some levels, it's become like, who haven't I met that I've always looked up to or I'm interested by that we can bring on that I can get to know? Like I'd never met Luke Slater. He's such a legendary figure in techno. I'd never met him. He came on the show and now we're friends. And he asked me to, we're not best friends, but he asked me, it went beyond the show. Like he asked me to remix a classic track of his and I did, and he loved it. And so it established a connection, a new connection. And what we've always done, the backbone of it is establishing some sort of connection with either a new friend or an audience or whatever. So it's all about that.
That's why I actually even started the podcast, because I realized that there was just so many people in the industry that I didn't know. I didn't know what their job consists of. And the same, there was a lot of people that I kind of looked up to and thought, how can I get to know these people? And through the podcast, it's been great because, as you just said, it's just such a great way of connecting with people and, chatting about things that you probably would never have the chance to chat to that person about ever. So I think that's one of the good things that have come out of the pandemic as well, that because everybody's been so online and had the time to be able to make these connections and talk to new people and make new friends, it's been good.
Yeah, and I also think what motivated me was Tigga, who's a good friend of mine, is an incredible interviewer. I don't know if you've checked his podcast.
No, I haven't.
He's such a natural, it would blow your mind.
Really?
Like, there's some people that, most people I say don't quit your day job. With Tigga, I'm like, hey, you might want to quit your day job and pursue this.
Really
if you can end up with like, I don't know how much Joe Rogan got for his, like from Spotify, like 100 and something million.
Yeah. Crazy amount.
Yeah, just by being yourself and talking to cool people and learning,
I know.
about interesting things, like, a dream job.
I know.
But, I think he piqued my interest, and that's another reason why I did. We all kind of decided we wanted to keep this going, and so I've turned into interviewer. We have Frankie Bones on tomorrow, and I have to watch interviews. I
You have
have
to
to
do your
read
research.
interviews. I got to do my research. I got to go to Discogs. I got to see what
Oh
pseudonyms they
yeah.
worked under, when they started, they were born, what their personal family background was like, and everything I don't know, I have to ask about, and everything I learned that was interesting, I also have to ask about. So it's
It's
an art form.
nice. It is.
Yeah.
And it's fun doing the research as well. What are some of your favorite podcasts to listen to? Do you listen to Joe Rogan a lot?
I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to David Chang's one.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a couple now. He's got the Recipe Club, which is kind of annoying. He's starting to get annoying because when it was just him, initially it was just him, right? And it was really emotional. And now it's just him with the producer. I guess he feels more comfortable having his business partner and the producer of the show all on it together. It's way more fun when you're a group,
Yeah,
when it's
definitely.
a group chat, as opposed to you having to fill the air with your voice the entire
Yes.
time. So I like his. I liked his. It's starting to get annoying now. I like Sam Harris. I like Bob Left Says.
Mm.
There's Michael Moore's doing one that's pretty cool. Obviously, I like listening to Bill Maher's show as a podcast. Real Time with Bill Maher.
So you like you're listening to your
And
podcast
Tigges, yeah.
then?
I was, even before the pandemic, I found that listening to someone's voice, like when you're on an airplane and you're kind of wired and you need to sleep, or you're on first and you're waiting for everyone to board, and there's all this chatter and noise, and the annoying thing of everybody constantly walking by you, whatever. Yeah, just putting on a podcast kind of takes you away from all that, and it always induces sleep for me. So I can never get through a full podcast if
You're
I'm
done. Sleep.
if I'm sitting there with my eyes closed listening, whether it's in bed or even if I'm like working around the house. When I'm listening to a podcast, I start to get really, really tired. It kind of relaxes
Yeah.
me.
There's some
Induces
great
sleep.
concepts of podcasts now. I listen to a podcast called Castaway, and it's about other podcasts. So they have different guests on, and they talk about
Really?
what's your favorite podcast. And it's really interesting because
Ah,
you find like loads of other podcasts that you probably would never have even found.
yeah,
And I was listening to
yeah.
one this morning with Joss Stone, and she was talking about a podcast that she listens to called Things That You Need to Know. So basically, it's literally every episode are just about really random things. So there's a whole podcast just about.
But you should know them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole
Yeah.
podcast just about carrots and all of this data on this, so much scientific knowledge of just about carrots
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah.
these random things. There's so much out there now. It's unbelievable. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess I don't know if it's a byproduct of the pandemic,
Yeah.
that like you have all this. You can't even like put this in like the innovation. I mean, obviously, you're going to have innovation, from the biotech kind of sector, and governments are trying to innovate our way out of this. But you have these interesting conversations that have sprouted up that are helping us cope.
Yeah.
So I guess in some ways they are in innovation over how it used to be with typical podcasts.
You're gonna end up doing a DJs and beer podcast.
Well, we're actually, yeah, we're mastering all the old shows, because the plan is to launch the podcast. Our 1 year anniversary is at the end of this month, so our plan is to like launch the podcast
Can't believe
then,
it's a
because I think it's
year.
more fun for people. Yeah, I can't believe it's been a year too. I'm trying not to think about it. Like
I know.
a year off. Now I know I can take a year off.
Now
anytime
you
I need
know.
to.
Now you know.
Yeah, yeah.
If you look back now on your career so far, this is going to be a really tough question because I know that you have done so much and seen so much
Yeah.
and lived so much. But what do you think is some of your favorite moments or periods in your career so far?
Yeah, the things that kind of like the milestones that jump out at me was first getting like the global recognition with the Hideaway record for Slip and Slide in '95, meeting and becoming really close to Carl Craig and like Danny Tenaglia, who just celebrated his 60th birthday. We're still close to this day. Meeting certain people in the industry like Madonna. I mean, it's funny because I had this
Madonna,
conversation.
you
Yeah,
actually,
we actually,
because I knew
yeah,
you'd worked together. I didn't know you'd like actually properly met her.
yeah, well, we did a remix. Madonna's uh, manager's boyfriend, they had a child together. Madonna's manager and the boyfriend. He was Ice-T's manager, and he became our manager shortly after we met Madonna. And the reason why we met Madonna is she asked us to remix a song of hers called Music. And we did it, and she loved it so much that I remember one day I was just back from tour, and our lawyer texted me and Sharam and said, you guys going to be available in the next 10 minutes. You're going to want to take this call. And we're like, what are you talking about? He's like, just make yourself available. We're like, okay. So he calls in 10 minutes and he's like, guys, hang on a second. Okay. And then he switches back over and it's Madonna on the line.
What?
So
That's nuts.
Madonna's telling us how much she loves the mix and our sound and how she's embarking on a big world tour. But before she does the tour, she's going to do a small show at the Roseland Ballroom in New York for friends and fans mainly. Very, very small, intimate show. And she's like, I asked, Everlast from House of Pain, he's going to come out. Because by then he had moved away from the hip hop thing and he was doing like him and with acoustic guitar and singing. He's like, my friend Everlast is gonna be on, and I want you guys to DJ before I go on. And we're like, fuck, okay. Yeah. And so she said, and everything happened very quickly. She said, can you come to New York on this day? And we had a show in like Acapulco, Mexico the day before, and we knew it was going to be a late one and we're going to have to go straight to the airport she wanted us to go and do rehearsals with her. She wanted to meet us and also find out what we were going to play. And this is how and when I realized Madonna is like why Madonna is where she is, because she's that in control of everything around her. She wanted to time how long it took us to come on stage and play the first song and what the first song was going to be and what the last song. She didn't care what we played in the middle. She's like, just tell me what song you're going to play first and what song you're going to play last. And let's watch you come out. And we did it a few times. And Dolce & Gabbana was there. We met them. And we stayed friends with her and that led to like Donatella Versace was there. And that led to like Donatella asking us to do the music for her fashion show. So that was like another milestone. Working with Stevie Nicks, which is a funny little story as well, because like I was going out with a girl who was a vocalist. We were working on our second album, the Deepdish second album, and she really wanted to sing on the album. And she said, hey, you should cover Fleetwood's Mac's Dreams. And I knew the song. And when she started singing it to me, I'm like, wow, your voice sounds really good with this song. And it started to trigger ideas. So I got her in the studio. I did the backing track and it sounded amazing. I played it for Sharam and Sharam's like, it's great, but like we have to let the vocalist who we have now for this album project sing it. So I had to go and tell my girlfriend at the time, thank you for bringing me your idea. Thank you for singing on it. We love it, but we're going to have to get the vocalist to re-sing it. And so I was like, fuck, I'm going to kill Sharam, for making me do this.
Sleeping on the sofa
and,
tonight.
Yeah, so then, I couldn't let Sharam win with that one. So then I asked, without him knowing, I asked our lawyer, who's kind of like our de facto manager, I said, hey, maybe, and the new version sounded great too. I'm like, could you send this to Fleetwood Mac or Stevie Nicks' people, whatever, and see, if if Stevie's interested in doing the vocal herself. And like within days, we got a response saying she absolutely loves it and she absolutely wants to come into the studio with us.
Wow.
And so we flew to LA and we recorded in I can't remember the name of the studio that they recorded like their Rumors album in. And here I am less than a week later after we sent it to them. Here I am, because I'm very good in the studio and working with session musicians and stuff like that. So I'm like, in the control room and Stevie's in the vocal booth. And I'm like coaching her how to re-sing her massive hit with Fleetwood Mac for us. And I just had to pinch myself.
Sorry, can you do that again?
Yeah, no, it was literally like that. And she was such a professional and she wanted to do what we wanted her to do. Like it wasn't her, trying to take control of that situation. It was like, I'm here to realize your vision. I realize you're a fan and the song was what it was or whatever to everyone. But now I'm here to do this for you. And so she was open to every idea. And that was like another really big, crazy milestone for me.
Oh, God. See, I knew that was going to be a hard question because I was like, he's going to have so many.
I have a lot. I mean, Grindhouse was a big, like me going solo was a big one. I mean, even before that, I posted a recent picture of Puff Daddy, us and Puff Daddy when we worked on the one song. Yeah. And then we just spent like one night in Miami rolling with him and his crew to every single club to get every DJ friend of ours who was playing at a party that night to play it. And we obviously the kicker was that we were coming into the booth with Diddy and then, giving them the CD to play and they would play it right away. And Diddy was happy and we were happy and we would stay for a few shots and then, jump in the car and go to another club. So,
that's crazy. Obviously, as everybody knows, you have a great passion for food. Has that always been a big passion and love of yours since you were a child? Or is that something that has kind of happened just because you've been able to travel the world and try so many different flavors and cultures and meet new people?
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't a foodie until I started to travel. Like I wasn't that interested in food. It was like, it wasn't something, it was something my mom would say, okay, it's time to eat. Or I would just eat really horrible processed foods, cereals and things like that. I wasn't like really peanut butter sandwiches and fish sticks and potato patties, frozen, like, but it wasn't until like I started to travel and I needed something more than what I was getting. Like I was, we were in this cycle of like airport, hotel, club, room service, nightclub, then, on repeat. And I felt like I needed more, like I needed to get a sense of where I was.
Yeah.
And so for me, after a while, once we started to really travel the globe consistently and go to a lot of places that we hadn't been to before, also sampling the local, the local alcohol, we realized that is a window into their culture, and that did set us up for feeling a bit more grounded with where we were and the performance and everything. So that it started to play a more prominent role in my life, like where I was going to eat. And then I started to really, I think it was the meal that I had in 2010 at El Bulli, which is now closed, which is one of the greatest restaurants ever. It was that 6.5 hour meal. And then I did it again the next year, the year they closed. I think your dog's hungry, by the way.
He is really hungry. It's because you're talking about
he's
food.
Hearing us. Yeah, we're talking about food. Yeah.
Come here.
And yeah, I think that really solidified my interest in it. And I started to meet a lot of chefs who I found out were fans of my music or just fans of dance music. and appreciated the fact that I appreciated what they did as an art form. Because after a while, it really became an art form, especially when you were able to remove like the old kind of French, stuffy, pompous kind of, aura and attitude with fine dining. Fine dining became like a gastropub kind of experience, and a lot of those chefs on that scene became good friends, and so I learned also how to cook well, because I think everybody needs to have those skills. It helped during the pandemic.
I was going to say, but it helped during the pandemic. Whenever I watch Anthony Bourdain, I always think of you. You always come to my mind.
Everybody, meeting Anthony Bourdain, that was another milestone. Like having dinner.
Met Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah,
Wow.
We had some mutual chef friends, and I surprised my ex-girlfriend on Valentine's Day with a dinner at Le Bernardin in New York. And she thought we were just going. Le Bernardin is Eric Ripert's restaurant. Eric Ripert was Anthony Bourdain's best friend. Yeah. He was unfortunately the one that found, with the maid Anthony in the hotel room, whatever, which is a really, really sad story.
Very sad.
But she thought, we pulled up and she thought, oh my God, Le Bernardin, amazing. Little did she know that it was like this dinner that Anthony Bourdain was hosting. And so we go in, she sees Anthony Bourdain. He walks right up to us because I'd never met him. I told my chef friend, tell Anthony to look out for us. And he came right up. He's like, what's up? You're Fred's friends. Nice to meet you.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he would bounce around from table to table and just sit and chat. And we had a really funny photo with him and a lot of interesting conversations that night. And that was another crazy foodie milestone experience.
That's incredible. Okay, to end, will you do a round of quick fire questions with me?
I'll try to make them quick answers and not random.
All right. They can be as long as you want if they're longer. It doesn't matter. Okay. Favorite city for food?
Tokyo.
Oh, the last thing you bought online?
An Uni company called Uni. It's a outdoor pizza oven. That the temperature will get twice as hot as your typical home oven temperature, which is what you need for pizza. So I'm really excited to start cooking in that.
You're proper into this, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Favorite studio snack?
Either Persian cucumbers like sliced in half with salt on them, or these cheese puffs.
Cheese puffs.
Very particular. Yeah, I think Barbara's cheese puffs. I grew up eating cheese puffs and pizza in the studio during sessions, like my whole life. It was either pizza or cheese puffs. And I think that's why, I'm right back. And then I worked in a pizzeria for years. I worked in a pizzeria for like 4 or 5 years when I was younger. And then Deepdish was named after, it's all.
But was Deepdish actually named after pizza?
It was because we were always ordering Domino's deep dish pan pizza when we were in the studio, but also because of Deep House. It was,
worked perfectly.
We were synonymous with Deep House. I don't know if it was because the deep dish name. I think back then it was quite, just like now, over the past few years, Deep House became like a thing again. It's evolved, but it's kind of always been there. Yeah.
Something you still haven't ticked off your bucket list?
Jumping out of like skydiving. It's something I really want to do. Yeah. I want to do that in Dubai over Palm Island. I know where I want to do it. And I was planning on doing it for my 50th, but maybe I'll do it then.
Does it make you
some
nervous
other time
thinking about it?
Yeah, but like I love to push myself out of my comfort zone. Like I love to be in situations that I'm being like tested somehow. And I'm curious how I'm going to handle that situation. I know I'm going to be scared shitless, But I kind of want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just like morbid curiosity with like
Yeah,
jumping out of an airplane.
Favorite hangover food?
Mexican with michelada. Clamato. Yeah.
How many flights do you think you've missed in your life?
Very few.
Nice.
I would say maybe 20.
That's good. Yeah. Not bad. I don't know why I thought you were going to say more.
No, I'm quite professional. I mean, there was one time I went to the wrong airport. I didn't really fully read the itinerary, and I never did that again. I've never gone to the wrong. Lesson learned. You only learn that lesson once. Yeah.
Yes. Something you have too many of.
Black shirts.
A restaurant everyone should go to at least once in their life.
Whoa, that's a good one. Like a specific restaurant.
Or, yeah, whatever comes to your mind.
God, I guess it's got to be one that's sort of an institution. Fuck, I don't know. You stumped me with the rapid fire. I think I'm a big believer, especially nowadays, in like supporting local restaurants.
Yes.
So I would say go to whatever is local and good to be able to support them. Not only through this period of time, but like generally. Always. It's very important. Yeah, go to your local coffee shop. Don't go to Starbucks.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Best airport for layovers?
Haneda or Narita or Singapore. I think those are my favorite.
Out of all of your DJ friends, who is the biggest lightweight?
Lightweight in terms of
just gets drunk the quickest.
Out of all my DJ friends, that's another hard one. They're all quite adept at drinking copious amounts of alcohol and getting through the gig. I don't have any. It's usually my friends. All my DJ friends are quite acclimated.
Yeah, I guess. They're used to it.
Yeah.
What is the last thing that you Googled?
Something just the other day.
Something about sour bread for sure.
No, it was pickled ginger. I wanted to make my own. It was yesterday. I started to do it because I had all this ginger. And then I read a few different recipes and they all called for like 2 pounds of ginger. I'm like, well, 2 pounds of ginger? I don't have that much ginger. Yeah, I'm like, I have like a big stock. Well, not even a bit of, I had a big stock, but you need 2 pounds of ginger sliced thin with all this other stuff to make pickled ginger. But that's the last thing I Googled.
And the final question, because the podcast is called Can You Put Me on Guest List? Do you have a guest list rule?
Yeah, I mean, like I have all the time friends asking me for guest list. Don't tell me the day of, or like the night of, 2 hours before I'm due to play, or when I'm en route to like the venue. Don't tell me then, and don't give me like a ton of names. You plus one. A couple days before. I'm not even asking for like a week before. Nobody knows what they're gonna do next week. They kind of make the plan. I realize they make the plan maybe that they wake up and they're like, tonight I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But don't tell me, after you've had your dinner and you're a little drunk, I'm thinking coming down tonight. Can you throw me? Especially if it's a festival. I have friends that like say, can you put me on? And they don't realize that
it's not that easy.
What it takes. It's not that easy for a festival.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you tell them no, they sound disappointed. And I just want to like stop everything I'm doing, pick up the phone and kind of school them on, Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this should be on that podcast. Like everything that what was the podcast called? Like where they
the
teach you about
you should know.
Things that you should know. Yeah.
How to ask for guest list
etiquette. Yeah, guest list etiquette. I think DJ etiquette should be on that as well.
It should. We should message them. Do you know what I was thinking about doing? But I've asked this guest list rule question to everyone that has been on the podcast so far. I think I've done like 53 episodes or something so far. And I was like, I've done like 100. I'm going to get everybody's answers together and do like a little booklet and put it together and publish it somewhere.
Wow, you've done 53 of these.
Yes, I have.
That's crazy. So who's the most interesting? Now let me turn the tables. Who's the most interesting person that you interviewed? Who was okay? Let's start with this. Who was the first person you interviewed? Because I haven't listened to the shows.
The first person I interviewed was Rob from Lock and Load Events. They're a promoter. They used to do a lot of events in Amnesia, but for a night called Together. He was my first one, and I had this shitty little recorder that I stuck in the middle of the room, and it's so echoey and it sounds awful. But he was my first one, and the most interesting one. Oh God, that's a really.
Who was the last interview that you did before me?
Hannah Once.
Okay. So from Locked and Load to Hannah Once, and in between, who was the most interesting? Like that you, or like the one that was the that you really struggled with to get them to talk, say anything beyond like yes or no, because those are the worst interviews too, when they don't have anything to say. But there's like a wealth of knowledge and experience in there somewhere, and you got to crack that shell and get them comfortable in talking, and everything you try. Doesn't work.
It happens. Yeah. Do you know who Nick Yates is?
Yeah.
So I had Nick Yates, Chief.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the opposite though. It wasn't that I couldn't get words out of him. It was just I couldn't make him stop.
Yeah. Chief is I mean he's calls everyone Chief. Everyone's a chief.
Everyone's a chief. He was fun.
And he's the best.
Yeah, he was fun though. We had quite a good laugh. And then another fun one that I really enjoyed was with Eats Everything, because he just had so many great stories from when he was younger.
He's fantastic too.
Absolutely fantastic. He was good to interview. I did one with Jessie Rose as well, and that was really, really interesting.
Jessie was my ex-manager. He was my ex-creative manager for 2 years. For 2 years, Yeah.
Well, that's what it was all
Jessie
about.
And I are really close. Yeah.
It was when he just started the agency.
OCA,
OCA.
OCA. Yeah.
So that was a good one too. I don't know. I've had quite a few favorites. This one as well has been one of my favorites so far.
Glad to hear it.
Oh, well, I won't keep you much. All right, I'm going to feed you. Don't worry. I'm going to feed you now.
Yeah, someone's hungry.
Somebody is hungry. Thank you so much for your time. I hope I get to see you soon somewhere.
Yeah. Where are you now? Are you still in Barcelona or?
I'm in Ibiza.
Really? Nice. I was actually there I had a good friend of mine who sold his half of the company to his business partner, left Barcelona and moved to a villa in Ibiza, and is so happy. Like unbelievably happy, and it's like a 3-bedroom house that he's renting that he wants to buy, and he's like, whenever you would come to Ibiza, you have a room here. So I went just before Christmas for a couple of days, and we had a great time, and I went back for New Year's, and I stayed a week, and we just barbecued every day. We have views of Esvedra, and it was just like magical to be on the island without all the all the parties and riffraff, and
so different,
and it was
isn't it?
quite peaceful. Yeah, it was my first time. The only in the past I was only there during the season and for weddings like in October, but beyond October and before like end of May, I was never in Ibiza. And so being there over New Year's was just like a really interesting experience.
Do you know, I just thought the last person I didn't interview on my podcast wasn't Hannah Once. It was Moulinex. Do you know who that is?
Moulinex.
Moulinex. Yeah. He has a label called Disco Texas, And basically, he used to study astronomy, and then but also had like has also been really passionate about music, and now mixes like his studies with production. And he was so interesting to talk to. He's a guy from Lisbon. Yeah.
You should probably connect him and Jeff Mills, because Jeff Mills is very much into
maybe I should
alien worlds and the universe and all that stuff.
Absolutely. All right, Ali, thank you so much for spending some time with me, and take care. Enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy your sourdough.
Yeah.
Think of a name. Don't abandon him. Think of something.
Yeah, please, your listeners, please, they can submit the names to you, and you can,
and we'll choose.
Pass them on to me, and yeah, we'll do something with the winner. We'll have to
Let's
do something interesting. All right, thanks, Katie.
You.
Good seeing you again.
Good seeing you.
Take care.
Bye.